Hi there, welcome to the third episode of my 10-minute moan of today. And the topic of this one is quite a horrific knife crime, plus an update on the last 24 hours of knife crime that I've been able to find across the UK. Now this first one that I want to talk to you about is, where are we? Yeah, it's quite a disturbing story in the North Wales Live. And their headline is, driver kidnapped man and threatened him with a knife after clipped his wing mirror. Muneer Abdul, 27, was travelling through a country road when his car and the victim's car clipped each other's wing mirrors. It's quite horrific, and he's been to court, been found guilty, sentenced, and happened yesterday. They're reporting on it today. So just want to tell you about this story before I touch on the other ones. A driver abducted a man and threatened him with a blade after a minor collision involving their car wing mirrors. He then made his victim get into his car and drove him to his house to get £100. Muneer Abdul, 27, was navigating Country Lane in Sully, Vale of Glamorgan, on the 30th of January last year, when he and the victim's vehicles collided, damaging each other's wing mirrors. Following the incident, both drivers pulled out for discussion, the court heard. Sentencing hearing at Cardiff Crown Court on Thursday heard Abdul was immediately aggressive and became angry when the victim failed to reattach the cover. In response, the defendant pulled out a combat knife from his waistband and ordered the victim to get in his car. This is a bit I don't get. These things are just becoming normal, like clothing accessory to people nowadays. The victim told Abdul he had to go to work, but the defendant responded, "I don't give a fuck about your work," and gestured with a knife. Judge Lucy Crowder said he was a thoroughly decent and pleasant young man going to work that morning. You subjected him to a terrifying experience where you were intimidating and bullying. Abdul left the victim sitting in his car for 15 to 20 minutes before telling him that he owed him £100. When the victim told him he didn't have that money on him, the defendant became aggressive and told him to search his car. He then took the victim's car keys for insurance and drove the victim to his house to retrieve the money. The victim's father was woken up as his son searched the house for cash and went out to question Abdul, but he was met with rudeness and derogatory words. After the victim gave him £100, the defendant drove him back to his car and, referring to his father, said people like him don't get on in life. The victim took this as an implied threat and called the police. Blah, blah, blah. Abdul of Loudon Square, Butestown, Cardiff, was convicted of kidnap and threatening a person with a knife. The court heard he had previous convictions for motoring and drug offences. The judge said, rather than being civil and understanding, acknowledging that these things can sometimes happen, and your immediate response was to be aggressive and use threats. You're not prepared to accept an apology from your victim. You were not prepared to do what anybody who drives a motor is prepared to do, exchange names and addresses. One of the reasons you didn't want to do that was you shouldn't have been in the vehicle anyway. It wasn't yours and you weren't insured to drive it. You had no business on the road at all. Abdul was sentenced to 32 months imprisonment. He was also made subject to a restraining order for 8 years. Now, I would have thought the bit with the knife would have got you more than 32 months itself, never mind abducting someone and, putting them through that trauma. So part of this will be for the abduction and part of this will be for the knife. So I don't really know what is the deal with threatening people with knives. It's obviously less than 32 months. We had numerous other things that I've discussed over the last few weeks that I've been doing these knife videos that kind of isn't a massive deterrent, is it? And I just hope when the new laws came out with, the zombie knives and machetes, that there's something in there about the sentencing, because this doesn't seem a big deterrent at all. If you take off whatever it would be for the abduction, then what is the sentence out of 32-month tariff for the knife part and threatening somebody with a knife? It just seems bizarre. So that was the sort of one that got my attention the most, but it's certainly, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 that I've just found on the internet, spending 10 minutes looking, all within the last 24 hours. We've got one story of a school that was locked down yesterday, and now the kids have returned to school after 2 boys, trying to get the story, they were either 14 or 15, were found outside the school with balaclavas on and knives. That was a school in, I hope I say this right, Leasows, Leasowes. This high school was locked down late yesterday afternoon. Police came and officers arrived and arrested two boys aged 14 on Holly's Drive shortly afterwards, and the weapons recovered with the help of police dogs. The pair were taken into custody on suspicion of possession of an offensive weapon. Spokesperson for the police said during the incident we liaised with the school to ensure the safety for everyone involved because they closed it down. But the school was reopened. Today, there's another one here in Bexley Heath shopping centre. Police granted extra powers to disperse people after a knife sighting near Bexley Heath shopping centre, but the perpetrator's not been found. In response to the incident, a Section 35 dispersal order had been authorised covering the area around Broadway. The order will remain in effect until 6 p.m. on September the 14th. That's tomorrow. I wonder if the shops need to shut. Section 35 gives police officers and community support officers the authority to exclude a person from a designated area for up to 48 hours with the approval of a police inspector. That was that one. This one, grieving families are disgusted that the firm selling deadly knives has been compensated. This is a story I done yesterday. I'll put a link to it at the end, where a wholesaler of zombie knives handed in 3,000 of them. Sorry, 32,000 I think was the number. It's just a mad amount of knives. I don't know how long that would take you to have. But anyway, murder victims of grieving families are now saying that they're disgusted after the firm selling deadly knives was handed this compensation during the current weapons amnesty. And next one was robbers held. This is Cornwall Live. Robbers who held knife to a woman's throat to spend longer in jail. Someone thought their sentences were too lenient. It seems they were right. This is a story about two armed robbers putting a knife to the throat of a female that they were stealing from. They were sentenced to aggravated burglary. Both men also pleaded to possession of knives on previous occasions. Just trying to find the bit about the sentencing. After pleading guilty, they were sentenced to 6 years and a month and 5 years and 6 months retrospectively. This was where they attacked two women. However, it can now be revealed that the pair will serve longer in prison after an appeal was made to the Attorney General's office under the unduly lenient sentencing scheme. Anyone can make such a appeal if they think a prison sentence is not harsh enough. Didn't know about that. Wonder if that's just English law. Nottinghamshire police put out a post on their website. Suspect charged after neighbourhood team member seizes knife. A suspected knife carrier is due to appear in court following being stopped in Gedley North neighbourhood team's member. Officers were out in patrol in Westwood area and stopped and searched a youth who was acting suspicious. He had a hunting style knife. It was concealed inside his jogging bottoms. It's a bit dangerous. The suspect was arrested. The 16-year-old boy, who can't be named for legal reasons, was subsequently charged with possession of a knife in a public place, and he'd be bailed ahead of his appearance in Nottingham Magistrates Court in the 25th of September. And the last one, this might be the same story. Yeah, this is the same story twice about the Devon knife killer. Oh, that's a different one. Oh no, this is a different one. Another Devon knife killer, jail term under review. Callum Thomas was given life with a minimum tariff of 12 years. Plymouth man who murdered his own mother, leaving her body covered with a duvet and a pillow, has a sentence referred to the Attorney General's office for a potential increase. He admitted killing his mother on May 7th, 2023, pleading guilty. He was given a mandatory life sentence, but with a minimum tariff of 12 years. When I looked online, inquiries made to Kate, it was found in the Yelverton. Where's the bit about his sentence? In sentencing remarks, Judge Peter Thomas said, all psychiatrists agree that you have been suffering from schizophrenia for 10 years when you're admitted to a psychiatric care home. Wow, that's frightening. The poor wee girl, Deborah, murdered by him. The unduly lenient sentence scheme allows anyone to ask for certain Crown Court sentences to be reviewed by the Attorneys General. It seems clear at the time of the killing you were mentally unwell. So there we go. Absolute chaos. All those knife things, and we're not seeing them reported. But it's impossible for news outlets to keep them going. But what I do find odd, again, I make comment about this often, all bar one of those stories, and the only one that was in the national paper was about the Grieving families unhappy with the £350,000 payout for the wholesaler of zombie knives. So the mainstream, they don't even reach it. You wonder how bad things would need to be to get a knife crime story in a newspaper at national level. It's absolutely frightening. However, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you've not already done so, please hit subscribe and notifications. Give us your comments below. But most importantly of all, unless you're one of these people that thinks having a knife down your joggy trousers has to be some sort of clothing accessory in this day and age. Not them, but
everyone else. Have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.